Moreno, are you totally self-sufficient or not? We would love to be self-sufficient, but with regard to UniCredit, we might be seen as self-sufficient, but as Giovanna pointed out, skills need to be regenerated constantly, particularly in the credit world. It's important to have a constant connection with universities. You have to look for talents that can get into a bank and regenerate the process. These should work hand in hand with senior people who have an expertise, a higher expertise with customers, so they understand how they should possibly intervene because of their sensitivity towards the process too. And we use the whole of the turnover we have in the credit area to bring young people into this area, like anti-cons, etc. So people that follow the algorithm part of the business. Just to say that in a nutshell, people that are familiar with algorithms, that have an in-depth expertise on this area because they have a PhD and because they have already had a 1 or 2 year international exposure. So we should pay lots of attention to our inner resources, in-house resources, because one of the biggest challenges we should be able to live up to is the ability to give constant retraining opportunities to our people. We've created some academies. In the credit area, we have an academy that was founded in co-partnership with prestigious universities in Italy, and this has helped and is still helping people to regenerate themselves and to enter the labor market with an updated approach. People that become the assets of the bank. The only asset that that banks have together with people's money is the people that work for us. I think it is interesting to see the ability to unite the world of quant to the other areas in terms of skills. This is highly innovative and in keeping with the times we're living in. For Giovanna and Tommaso, do you recognize the same mindset in your customers when they ask you to have a leader in the NPL areas? The question is quite interesting, but in order to answer your question, I would like to tie back to what Costanza is saying. For banks, increasingly often, we are asked to make an assessment of internal resources, in-house resources, because not in all banks are banks really aware of the talents, the resources they have in-house. So we should follow a different perspective on how to form the teams, because the skills should be complementary. The answer would be absolutely yes, in terms that the customers do focus on quantitative aspects. Well, customers ask for important quantitative skills too, but I would like to establish a dialogue with the voice, if I may do so. Quantitative skills should be counterbalanced by soft skills, particularly when you try to achieve a top position to guide other people to become a leader. You must look for the right people with the right quantitative skills, but it is equally essential to have the right amount of soft skills. And Giovanna earlier on pointed out one thing that is particularly interesting. The international market has an interest in Italy, particularly in the NPL sectors for acquisitions underway. Therefore, it becomes increasingly important to work on intracultural or cross-cultural differences between the Anglo-Saxon world and the Italian world that is now selling, but they will continue to manage many NPL. In many cases, we just put at stake billions of liras in an effective for the effective management of acquisitions made in Italy. We are very happy, and we owe it to Banca Ifis that we have these representatives here. This stemmed from our founder, gentleman born in Zurich, that started to work with Spencer Stewart, that was another man, and he decided in 1935 that he wanted work with this Mr. Spencer Stewart, and he sort of extracted him from his office. And I was talking with Mr. Bossi about it yesterday anyway. And we have to thank women for that. We have to pay credit to women for that. Working on integration is of paramount importance with the Italian and non-Italian parties. So when we talk about NPLs in Italy today, these are fundamental points. The strategy we used reflects what Tommaso has just described. We put at the top people with Anglo-Saxon background, and this helped us in the relationship. I was talking with the person responsible for that about this, and I asked him, what would you say on this point? He said that the trust that can be generated thanks to cultural realignment is of paramount importance. If you have a team with, let's put it that way, a team with a double culture, it was totally unprecedented. We have had it now for the first time, and it works very well. What are the most appreciated skills, and how can you become a candidate for such positions? You must keep an eye on results. Of course, you must be able to achieve results. This is something that is of paramount importance nowadays, and NPLs have become a source of money, of profits, and this is also related to timing, the ability to collect the money in time, within a specific time limit. And also the ability to manage changes of paramount importance, even more so for executives, for managers who need to work within structures that are highly consolidated, well established, and engaging people and managing changes of fundamental importance. What do you look for in your interviews? Well, I'm looking for curious people lately. I have been looking for these people. Curiosity is hardly ever there, whereas curiosity helps you with compliance, with auditing. It helps you going for a deep dive. It helps you go for a deep dive, and it helps you manage the process in the best and most correct way. I like curiosity myself. It's a potential indicator for future growth. But we should also like to have a person with an entrepreneurial propensity. It's useful if a person are willing to become leaders, then they should have the ability to imagine what lies after that, and they should have the ability to convince people, to persuade people, and to lead a managerial team, because otherwise we should say goodbye to our dreams of glory. So, do banks really have a gap to fill and to overcome vis-à-vis other companies in terms of rewarding system? Well, for rewarding systems, the regulators have paid attention to that too. They have focused their attention on that. And we have to rethink our models. This question is dated, you know. It's old, because the mindset is old. new directions, new management can't focus on rewarding systems so much because there are rules that are dictated by the central governance functions of the banks that don't allow you to invest in that area. They can oblige banks to invest on managers. So you have to focus on overall visions, on curiosity, on welfare, on smart working, on all of the new tools we have. This is the future also for banks. Also in industries, they never focused so much on rewarding system. I would devote a whole panel to this question, I must say. And if I may say so, I think that this is the point of strength of private equity funds, because the composition is completely different there. The wages are low and maybe not so appealing, but there is an upside to it. So the banking system needs to change its approach. It's not a rewarding system. They must find something else. So before closing this part, I wanted to ask you what is going to be the difference between those that can manage their HR well or not? Well, it's an easy question to conclude. I would like to go back to what has already been said. Great ability to focus on results, the ability to choose your HR. Sometimes you look at business plans too much. I've seen many business plans that have failed because the wrong people have chosen. Sometimes they have chosen the right people, and so even mediocre business plans have been successful. So I would say that we should have to focus on people, people, people. Yes, and we have to listen, listen, listen. We have to listen to the system, listen to the customers, create long-term stability, work differently, and be disruptive. This is something I would like to offer as a contribution. I would like to give a couple of questions. First of all, diversity. The winning teams will be able to activate diverse teams, different teams, with a mix in terms of age and nationality. We need to be more inclusive, and banks are not advanced in that respect. And it takes courage. It takes courage. We need courage. This country finds it difficult to trust new things, new people, young people, or people that haven't worked in that sector for 10 years. So courage and diversity. Thank you for these very clear, crystal clear messages. Thank you all.